Cool. Hello, Abshane Numelang Ninjani. This is your guest, Matebula. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have a special guest from Save the Children, one of my sponsors or donors for Hayes Test Drive. So, Sir, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Sitla, for having me. My name is Nika. I work for children, and my salary gets paid by Save the Children for that role. And I'm the migration and emergencies manager.
So guys, today we'll be talking about immigration. We're commenting on that campaign that was started on Twitter, hashtag Put South Africans First. And please further explain on what immigrants are, or what immigration is, and the hashtag, what you think about it, and yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll really start from very basics, and that is not by any measure trying to whether people really understand what migration is, but let's share, and everybody will add their comment and their views. But I think we need to look at migration from its broadest perspectives, and starting from local migration. So when we talk of migration, normally people always think about what? International migration, migrating beyond international borders. But migration is also a local issue. People move from, actually migration by definition is a movement, whether for permanent or temporal movement, crossing a certain boundary, whether administrative or political. So if I move from Polokwane to Gauteng, I've migrated. Yes, you get my point. Yes, there, because I've crossed an administrative border. But I can also cross a political border, which is an international border. So there is a difference. So all that is migration. So people move for a variety of reasons. And there's also an issue on migration to know what are the purpose and the reasons why people move. It's very important, because then it takes us to the next stage to understand migration in terms of categories of migrants. Normally when we just say migrants, we're putting them into one box as if they are homogeneous. They are not. So migration is not a singular concept. People move for a variety of reasons, and that should be taken into consideration when we speak migration.
All right. So I'll be reading comments that I got from Facebook, because I did a survey on what people think on the trend of Put South African First, and if they think that people should be hired based on their qualifications, or it should, like, they should check if you're South African or not before hiring you, or just look at your qualification and give you the job.
Interesting discussion.
Yeah. So the first comment reads, "For now, I'd put South Africans first before anyone. I mean, this whole idea of a rainbow nation has failed us. We are so welcoming that in most sectors that contribute toward our economic growth are run by people from the outside. If one is to argue and say that we do not have the necessary skills or education to run primary sectors such as agriculture, mining, media, and technology advancements, perhaps there's something wrong with our education system." That's the first comment.
Okay, that's an interesting comment. But I want us to correct something here.
Okay.
The first concept is, when we talk about considering, when we are hiring someone, should we consider whether they are South African or not yet? Actually, that's what is done by law. Whenever anybody is hired, that's exactly the principle that is applied.
Okay.
Yes, so if you go to the regulations of Department of Labor, wherever a migrant is going to be appointed, if they are not a permanent resident or a citizen, they go through that. The employer has to look into the facts that I have advertised the job, and no one is there. Jobs where they would say no one is applied who qualifies for this job except for this person who qualifies, but the person is not a what? A citizen. Then they write a letter to labor, and labor certifies that, then that person gets to be given a work permit. So those are the ways in which processes happen.
So there's a process.
Yes, so there is a process. There is no employer who just wakes up in the morning and go to the street and say, are you a migrant? Okay, come and work. Are you a citizen? No, I don't want you. You still have to prove that I have given fair opportunity to everyone, and this is the process I went through, and I've appointed this one. And there is adjudication in all that process. Because for a permit to come up to give somebody to be able to work, all that has to happen.
Right.
And to comment on that particular comment, I totally don't think there is anything wrong with South African education system. One, because most of the migrants we are talking about who are working in South African economies studied in South Africa, in the South African education system.
No, I think this person was talking about like the mining, the agriculture, those primary sectors, because most of them, I think, they are run by white people from Europe. You know? Yes, not just South African white people.
Okay.
The ones from Europe that came
and
just took over.
Yeah, I think that's another discussion, in terms of now it's really going back into colonialism. How did we get there? And are those people still the ones running those farms? Is another question of which I don't think I am the best suited commenter on those particular colonialism and all that stuff.
I read the second comment. We can't really be importing labor like we are doing. The idea of putting everyone first before our people first isn't really helping. When you go to every other country that's not in Africa, you realize that they all put their citizens first before anyone, and it's helping a great deal. These people are teaching their children from an early stage to strive towards anything they can think of, and they have policies in place to ensure that their kids get almost everything they want when growing up. Hence, they talk about reach before 25. They understand that everything is there for taking.
Yeah. There is a very important principle we must understand in terms of the responsibility of a state to its citizens. South Africa as a government, as a nation, has its first responsibility to its citizens, which is important. And that's why there are measures the state has put in place to ensure that its citizens are protected and have priorities in certain things. For example, you are in varsity and you know that there's NSFAS.
Yeah.
No migrant has access to NSFAS. What is that? It's putting citizens' priorities first. I'm not saying that's the best way it should be, but it's the act of saying, with the resources I have, this is how far I can go for now. But I can open other opportunities that everybody else can access. For example, you would have Govan Mbeki Research Center bursaries that are accessible by even non-citizens that the country has, and other ones that are accessible to specifically migrants. So when we look at what the country is doing or the government is doing, we must look at it from all perspectives and also understand that us as South Africa, we don't exist in a vacuum in this world. We exist in a globe of in a globe of network with other countries, and we are also signatories to some important conventions internationally that obliges us as a country to provide certain protection to other people.
I think the problem here with since you already stated that South Africa has its own policies before hiring people, I think the problem here has to be the policies, because if there's policies and then they always follow those procedures before hiring a person, like you have to get a permit and everything. I think the hashtag Put South Africans First campaign is against those policies. Why are there those policies? Why are they in place? Like, why are they hiring other people while they are here? Because that's what I think. Because honestly, I'm trying to understand why this campaign.
So this is what South Africa do. They have created, if you go to the website of Department of Labor, Department of Labor has a category of careers that they have listed and say these are scarce skills. We don't have as much of these skills as we would demand in our economy. And we would offer permits to non-South Africans who qualify in these categories. And if those people do, then they are offered. And even in their permit application processes, those regulations are there. Then there are also sectors that are closed within the South African economy to say this is prioritization of South African citizens, which I think is progressive enough. But at the same time, South Africa is a very big economy. Just like we're talking about other countries in Europe and all that, but we're just talking from a perspective point of view, not really knowing how those economies are run. In my class, I studied in the Eastern Cape. In my class of social work, there are not more than 4 of us left in Africa. All of them are working in Europe. Those are migrants working in Europe. So when somebody says Europe is only prioritizing its own people, that's not factual.
I hear you.
That's not factual.
I get your point. Okay, we'll read the third comment. I think it matters to look at to check if the person is South African or not. Because look at other countries, they look after their citizens first before looking at immigrants. Lol, it's like you want to help your neighbors before helping the people who live in the house. So it does not make any sense.
Okay. I think if there is something wrong with putting South African first hashtag or campaign is one thing. Is the assumption that prioritizing a South African is replaced by not prioritizing or not caring for any other. Okay. The two are not mutual. That you say, if I'm doing this, then I'm not doing that. No, the two can happen at the same time. You can prioritize your citizens and still protect others that needs a protection, because I don't think hiring a non-South African citizen means you are not prioritizing a South African.
But then let's say, for example, there's a job vacant, right? And then there's 2 people who are qualified for the job.
Yes.
One is from another country, and then the other one is South African.
Yes.
And the other one has a permit. The one from another country has a permit to work for that position. Yes. Who do you think has to be prioritized?
So that's the basic application of that regulations I was talking about earlier. But in that case, these people are equally qualified,
yes,
equally experienced, equally have the exposure to the work, yes, and all willing to take the job. Mm-hmm. South African gets the priority.
For the priority.
Yes, yes, it's always like that. It has always been like that. So I think the hashtag, the drive itself, has been overly politicized. That it has went amiss in terms of facts and driven on people's emotions to get people to think that the fact that I'm not getting a job, there's a foreigner that is being prioritized, which is not true. There are companies I know which has got 99.9% South African citizens.
Okay, I get you. Okay, the fourth comment, is it the fourth? Yeah, the fourth. I know people like to say who South Africans are lazy and etc. But they have they been given the chance though? If a certain position needs a specific qualification, they must check if there are South Africans with that qualification first before hiring foreigners, both black and white. I think we've already answered this. Right?
Yeah, true. But there's just the first part I would like to address, which is quite a stereotype of saying, I know people say South Africans are lazy. I really think that statement is, or if people make that kind of a statement, that's very stereotype and it's not factual, because there are hard-working South Africans that you and me know. You probably but one of them.
That saying, I've heard of it before. Like even when there was that hashtag bring back our land age thing, that thing one, I'm not being political. When there was that trend, people were saying, like, what are South Africans gonna do with the land, because they are lazy, they don't know what to do with it. So they must just let it be with whoever's owning it now, because South Africans are lazy and things like that. So that thing of saying South Africans are lazy has always been a thing said by people. Cause I don't know if we just being undermined as South Africans or what. And it's not like other people from other countries saying those things. It's South Africans saying those things.
South Africans.
Yes.
So yeah, that's another thing that we need another day to address how we view ourselves as a nation. And if we put such a big general comment to say South Africans are lazy, I can tell you a million South Africans that I know that are not lazy. Our president is not lazy. He has worked tirelessly hard. So when we say South Africans are lazy, I think we are really being, yeah.
And then the last comment reads, yeah, a lot of South African graduates are sitting at home because they are not being given first preference. It annoys me so much.
Its effect, unemployment is, so you see, one of the reasons that creates this kind of competition we are seeing is the fact that the nation doesn't have enough resources, or the economy is not as big to absorb everyone who has got skills that needs to be absorbed into the economy. So unemployment is a fact, and we should be factual about it. It's not caused by the fact that there are migrants in South Africa.
Okay.
If we look at the number of unemployed citizens and the number of migrants that are working in South Africa, we can't balance the two. So it's not that you don't have a job because there's a migrant who is hired. You could also be, yeah.
All right, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show or the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. You know what to do. You like, you comment, you subscribe. I love you all. Bye.